Have you ever wondered how a creature with no arms, no legs, and no way to chew its food became one of the most successful predators on Earth? Picture this. You're walking through a forest when suddenly a massive python emerges from the underbrush, moving with deadly precision despite having 0 limbs. How is that even possible? What kind of evolutionary wizardry turned ordinary lizards into these incredible serpentine hunters? Well, buckle up, because the story I'm about to tell you is absolutely mind-blowing. We're diving deep into one of evolution's most spectacular transformations, a journey that spans over 160 million years and involves some of the most bizarre creatures you've never heard of. By the end of this series, you'll understand exactly how snakes went from tiny, four-legged lizards to the diverse army of legless predators we see today, including monsters so massive they could swallow a crocodile whole. But here's what makes this story even more incredible. Everything I'm about to show you is backed by real fossil evidence. We're not just guessing about how this happened. Scientists have actually found the missing links, the transitional species that bridge the gap between lizards and modern snakes. And some of these discoveries are so recent that they're completely rewriting what we thought we knew about snake evolution. Now, before we jump into this evolutionary epic, let me give you a preview of just how insane this journey really is. We're going to meet ancient snakes that still had legs, discover how these creatures survived the same asteroid impact that killed the dinosaurs, and explore how they eventually gave rise to venomous killers that can drop a buffalo in minutes. We'll also uncover the secrets behind their forked tongues, their ability to sense heat like thermal vision goggles, and how some species develop the most potent biological weapons on the planet. This isn't just another nature documentary. This is the untold story of one of evolution's greatest success stories. Trust me, it's way more fascinating than you think. So let's set the stage. Right now, as we speak, there are nearly 4,000 different species of snakes slithering across our planet. That's 4,000 unique solutions to the same basic problem. How do you survive and thrive without any limbs? These remarkable reptiles have conquered virtually every habitat on Earth, except Antarctica. They're swimming in oceans, burrowing through deserts, climbing through rainforest canopies, and yes, some are probably living closer to your house than you'd like to think about. But here's the thing that blows my mind. This incredible diversity didn't happen overnight. The snakes we see today are the result of one of the most dramatic evolutionary transformations in natural history. And it all started with a group of small, unremarkable lizards that lived alongside the dinosaurs. Imagine traveling back in time 160 million years ago. The world looks completely different. Massive, long-necked sauropods are stomping through lush forests. Armored ankylosaurs are munching on prehistoric plants. And fearsome theropods are hunting anything that moves. This is the late Jurassic period, and dinosaurs absolutely dominate the landscape. But if you look carefully in the shadows of these giants, you'll notice something interesting happening. Small lizard populations are starting to change. These aren't the ancestors of modern lizards we're talking about. These are the humble beginnings of what would eventually become snakes. And the reason they started changing is actually pretty logical. When you think about it, picture yourself as a small lizard trying to survive in dense prehistoric forests. You're constantly weaving through tangled root systems, squeezing under fallen logs, and navigating through thick underbrush while hunting for insects and worms. What kind of body shape would give you the biggest advantage in this environment? Probably something long and flexible, right? Something that could slip through tight spaces that other predators couldn't access. That's exactly what started happening to these early snake ancestors. Natural selection began favoring individuals with longer, more streamlined bodies. But here's where it gets really interesting. As their bodies got longer and more flexible, their legs started becoming less useful. Think about it logically. If you're trying to squeeze through a narrow gap between two rocks, having legs sticking out from your sides isn't exactly helpful. In fact, it's more of a hindrance than an advantage. Now, here's a crucial point that most people get wrong about snake evolution. There's this popular misconception that snakes just suddenly lost their legs one day because they stopped using them. That's not how evolution works at all. The process was incredibly gradual, happening over millions of years through natural selection. And we know this because paleontologists have actually found fossils showing different stages of this transformation. This is where our story gets really exciting, because we're about to meet some of the most fascinating transitional creatures in the fossil record. These aren't quite lizards, and they're not quite snakes either. They're something in between, and they give us an incredible window into how this evolutionary transformation actually unfolded. The first character in our story is a creature called Najash Rionagrina. Now, I know that name sounds like something out of a fantasy novel, but this was a real animal that lived about 9 to 5 million years ago. Najash is absolutely crucial to understanding snake evolution because it represents one of the earliest stages in this incredible transformation. Here's what makes Najash so special. It had the long, flexible body of a snake, but it still retained 2 small but functional hind legs. Imagine a snake with tiny legs near its tail end. That's basically what Najash looked like. Its body was already perfectly adapted for the slithering locomotion we see in modern snakes. But those little legs were still there, probably used for specialized activities like digging burrows or during mating. But Najash wasn't the only transitional snake living during this period. Another incredible species called Pachyrhachis was developing around the same time, but in a completely different environment. While Najash was crawling around on land, Pachyrhachis was spending at least part of its life in ancient seas. We know this because its fossils were discovered in marine limestone deposits, which tells us it was living in or near ocean environments. Clade, what's fascinating about Pachyrhachis is that it also had hind limbs, but they were even smaller and less functional than those of Najash. This suggests that the leg reduction process was happening in multiple snake lineages simultaneously, but at different rates depending on their specific environments and lifestyles. Now, you might be wondering, if these ancient snakes were losing their legs, how exactly were they moving around? This is where the story gets really clever. These early snakes were developing a completely new form of locomotion that had never been seen before in vertebrate evolution. Instead of relying on legs to push against the ground, they learned to use their entire body as a propulsion system. The key to understanding this lies in their incredibly flexible spines and specialized muscle arrangements. Modern snakes have hundreds of vertebrae, each connected by incredibly flexible joints that allow for precise control over body movement. Their muscles are arranged in complex patterns that let them create waves of motion that travel from head to tail, pushing against irregularities in the ground to generate forward momentum. But developing this new locomotion system didn't happen overnight. The transitional snakes like Najash and Patarhachis were probably experimenting with different combinations of leg-based and body-based movement. They might have used their small legs for certain activities while relying on body undulation for others, gradually shifting more and more toward the pure serpentine locomotion we see today. As millions of years passed, the hind limbs of these early snakes continued to shrink and become less functional. But here's something really cool. They didn't disappear completely. Even today, if you look carefully at modern boas and pythons, you can still find tiny remnants of these ancient legs. They appear as small spurs near the back of the snake's body, little bumps that are all that remain of what were once functional limbs. These spurs might not look like much, but they're incredibly important from a scientific perspective. They're living proof of snake evolutionary history, physical evidence that connects modern serpents to their four-legged ancestors. It's like finding a fossil, except the fossil is still alive and slithering around today. By the end of the Cretaceous period, about 66 million years ago, snakes were becoming increasingly sophisticated predators. They had mastered their new form of locomotion, developed more flexible jaws that could open wider than typical lizards, and were beginning to carve out specialized hunting niches in their ecosystems. Some were becoming powerful constrictors, using their muscular bodies to squeeze the life out of their prey. Others were developing early forms of venom delivery systems. But just as snakes were hitting their evolutionary stride, disaster struck. A massive asteroid, probably about 6 miles in diameter, slammed into Earth with the force of billions of nuclear bombs. This cosmic collision triggered what scientists call the Cretaceous Paleogene extinction event, one of the most devastating mass extinctions in Earth's history. The impact was absolutely catastrophic. Massive tsunamis swept across continents, global wildfires raged for months, and enormous amounts of debris were blasted into the atmosphere, blocking out sunlight and plunging the planet into a nuclear winter-like scenario. When the dust finally settled, approximately 75% of all species on Earth had been wiped out, including all non-avian dinosaurs. This was the end of the age of dinosaurs, but it was just the beginning of the age of snakes. While massive predators like Tyrannosaurus rex and giant herbivores like Triceratops went extinct, snakes not only survived this apocalyptic event, but actually thrived in its aftermath. How did they manage to pull off this incredible survival story when so many other creatures failed? The answer lies in several key advantages that snakes had developed during their evolutionary journey. First, they had extremely low metabolic requirements compared to the dinosaurs. While a massive sauropod needed to consume hundreds of pounds of vegetation every day just to stay alive, a snake could survive for weeks or even months without eating. When food became scarce after the asteroid impact, this was a huge advantage. Second, snakes had already adapted to living in naturally sheltered environments. Many species lived in burrows, rock crevices, or dense vegetation that provided protection from the extreme temperatures and harsh conditions that followed the impact. While surface-dwelling dinosaurs were exposed to the full fury of the post-impact environment, snakes could hunker down in their protected hideouts and wait out the worst of it. Third, snakes were incredibly adaptable in terms of what they could eat. Unlike highly specialized dinosaurs that might have depended on specific types of plants or prey animals, snakes could adjust their diets based on whatever food sources were available. If their usual prey disappeared, they could switch to eating something else. But the real evolutionary explosion was yet to come. The extinction of the dinosaurs created a massive ecological vacuum, opening up countless new niches for surviving animals to exploit. And snakes were perfectly positioned to take advantage of these opportunities. As the dust settled from this cosmic catastrophe, Earth began transforming into something completely different. The climate was shifting dramatically, becoming much warmer and more humid than it had been during the age of dinosaurs. Vast tropical forests started spreading across the planet, creating lush, steamy environments that were absolutely perfect for snake evolution. During this period, called the Paleocene epoch, temperatures soared to levels we can barely imagine today. The entire planet was like one giant greenhouse, with rainforests stretching from pole to pole. These prehistoric jungles were teeming with life, from early mammals scurrying through the underbrush to primitive birds flitting through the canopy. It was an evolutionary playground, and snakes were about to become the ultimate players in this game. Now, here's where our story takes a turn toward the absolutely incredible. In these warm, humid environments, some snakes began growing to sizes that would make your jaw drop. We're talking about creatures so massive that they make today's largest pythons look like garden snakes. And the king of them all was a monster called Titanoboa cerrajonensis. Picture this, a snake that stretched over 42 feet from nose to tail, weighing as much as a small car. Titanoboa wasn't just big, it was impossibly, ridiculously, mind-blowingly huge. This semi-aquatic giant lived in the swampy forests of what is now Colombia, and it was the apex predator of its ecosystem. Nothing, and I mean nothing, was safe from this prehistoric monster. But Titanoboa wasn't just impressive because of its size. What made this creature truly terrifying was how it hunted. Like modern anacondas, Titanoboa was primarily an ambush predator. It would lurk in shallow, murky water, its massive body perfectly camouflaged among fallen logs and aquatic vegetation. When an unsuspecting animal came to drink, Titanoboa would explode into action with lightning speed. The attack sequence was brutal and efficient. First, those massive jaws would clamp down on the victim with rows of backward curving teeth ensuring that nothing could escape once caught. Then came the real horror, constriction. Titanoboa would wrap its enormous muscular coils around its prey, squeezing with tremendous force. Each time the victim exhaled, the coils would tighten just a little bit more, until eventually the prey could no longer draw breath. This hunting strategy was so effective that Titanoboa could take down prey much larger than itself. We're talking about early crocodilians, giant turtles, and primitive mammals the size of cows. Nothing in its environment was too big or too dangerous for this serpentine super predator. But here's what's really fascinating about Titanoboa. It gives us incredible insights into the climate of ancient Earth. You see, snakes are cold-blooded animals, which means their body temperature depends entirely on their environment. The bigger a snake gets, the warmer its environment needs to be to support its massive metabolism. The fact that Titanoboa could grow to such enormous proportions tells us that the ancient climate was significantly warmer than anything we experience today. Scientists have actually used Titanoboa's size to calculate ancient temperatures, and the results are staggering. The tropical regions where Titanoboa lived were probably around 90 degrees Fahrenheit year-round, with humidity levels that would make modern rainforests seem dry by comparison. It was a world where giant snakes ruled supreme. But this tropical paradise wasn't destined to last forever. Around 50 million years ago, Earth began a long, gradual cooling trend that would fundamentally change the evolutionary trajectory of snakes. As temperatures dropped and humidity levels decreased, those vast tropical forests started shrinking. In their place, new types of ecosystems began emerging: woodlands, grasslands, and eventually the diverse range of habitats we see today. This climate shift presented snakes with entirely new challenges. The dense forest environments where they had thrived for millions of years were giving way to more open landscapes. Suddenly, the old hunting strategies that had worked so well in thick vegetation weren't as effective anymore. Think about the challenges of being a predator in an open grassland compared to a dense forest. In a forest, there are countless places to hide: fallen logs, thick underbrush, tangled root systems. A snake can easily remain concealed while waiting for prey to wander within striking distance. But in a grassland, there's nowhere to hide. Prey animals can see danger coming from much farther away, and they tend to be faster and more alert in these open environments. This is where snake evolution really started getting creative. Different species began developing radically different solutions to these new hunting challenges. Some snakes doubled down on the constriction strategy, becoming even more powerful and efficient at squeezing the life out of their prey. Others went in a completely different direction, developing what would become one of the most sophisticated biological weapon systems ever evolved: venom. The evolution of venom is one of the most incredible stories in all of biology. It's not just about creating a toxic substance. It's about developing an entire delivery system that can precisely inject that toxin into a target. We're talking about modified teeth that work like hypodermic needles, specialized glands that manufacture complex chemical cocktails, and muscular systems that can deliver these toxins with incredible accuracy and speed. The ancestors of modern vipers and cobras were among the first to master this deadly art. Instead of relying on brute force to overpower their prey, these snakes developed venoms that could immobilize or kill animals much larger than themselves in a matter of minutes. It was like bringing a gun to a knife fight, evolutionary speaking. But not all venoms work the same way. Some are designed to attack the nervous system, causing paralysis by blocking the signals between nerves and muscles. Others target the circulatory system, breaking down blood cells and causing massive internal bleeding. Still others focus on tissue destruction, literally digesting the victim from the inside out. The really sophisticated venomous snakes developed cocktails that combined multiple types of toxins. A single bite might deliver neurotoxins to paralyze the prey, hemotoxins to cause internal bleeding, and cytotoxins to break down tissue, all working together to ensure a quick and efficient kill. It's like nature's own chemical warfare program, refined over millions of years of evolution. But venom wasn't the only innovation that emerged during this period. As ecosystems became more diverse, snakes also developed increasingly sophisticated sensory systems to help them navigate their changing world. Some of these sensory adaptations are so advanced that they make human technology look primitive by comparison. Take pit vipers, for example. These incredible hunters developed specialized organs near their nostrils that can detect infrared radiation, essentially giving them thermal vision. They can literally see the heat signatures of warm-blooded prey, even in complete darkness. It's like having built-in night vision goggles that can detect the body heat of a mouse from several feet away. This thermal detection system is so sensitive that it can distinguish temperature differences as small as a few thousandths of a degree. A pit viper can track a warm-blooded animal moving through complete darkness with pinpoint accuracy, striking with deadly precision even when it can't see its target with its regular eyes. Other snakes developed equally impressive sensory innovations. The forked tongue, which might look strange to us, is actually one of the most sophisticated chemical detection systems in the animal kingdom. When a snake flicks its tongue, it's not tasting the air in the way we might think. Instead, it's collecting chemical particles and bringing them back to a specialized organ in its mouth called the Jacobson's organ. This organ can analyze these chemical particles with incredible precision, providing the snake with detailed information about its environment. It can tell the snake what kinds of animals have passed through the area recently, which direction they were traveling, how long ago they were there, and even whether they were healthy or injured. It's like having a chemical GPS system combined with a forensic laboratory. The forked shape of the tongue isn't just for show either. It allows the snake to collect chemical samples from two slightly different locations simultaneously, giving it directional information about odor sources. By comparing the chemical concentrations on each fork of the tongue, the snake can determine which direction a scent trail is leading and follow it with remarkable accuracy. As Earth continued cooling during the Miocene and Pliocene epochs, snakes kept adapting to new challenges. The expansion of dry, open habitats favored the evolution of venomous species, while also spurring the development of new forms of locomotion. In desert environments, where the ground is loose and sandy, traditional serpentine movement becomes inefficient. So some snakes evolved a completely different way of moving called sidewinding. Sidewinding is one of the most elegant solutions to a locomotion problem you'll ever see. Instead of pushing against the ground in a straight line, sidewinding snakes move in a series of diagonal loops, touch the ground at only a few points along their body. This allows them to move efficiently across loose sand without sinking in or losing traction. It's like nature's version of a tank tread, distributing the snake's weight across multiple contact points. But even as snakes were reaching new heights of evolutionary sophistication, they were about to face their greatest challenge yet. Around 2.6 million years ago, Earth entered a period of dramatic climate instability known as the Pleistocene epoch. This was the beginning of the Ice Ages, a time when massive glaciers repeatedly advanced and retreated across the northern continents. For snakes, which depend on warm temperatures to maintain their metabolism, the Ice Ages represented an existential threat. Vast areas that had previously been suitable habitat became frozen wastelands where no snake could survive. Many species were forced to retreat to warmer regions near the equator, while others had to develop entirely new survival strategies. This is where snakes demonstrated their incredible adaptability once again. Species living in temperate regions evolved the ability to enter a state called brumation, which is similar to hibernation in mammals. During brumation, snakes dramatically slow down their metabolism, reduce their breathing rate, and enter a state of dormancy that allows them to survive months of cold weather without eating. The ability to brumate was crucial for snake survival during the Ice Ages. While many other reptile species went extinct due to the harsh conditions, snakes that could enter this dormant state were able to wait out the worst of the cold and emerge when warmer weather returned. It was another example of their remarkable evolutionary flexibility. When the Pleistocene ice sheets finally began retreating around 12,000 years ago, they left behind a completely transformed world. The end of the last ice age marked another major extinction event, wiping out countless species of large mammals that had dominated the landscape for millions of years. Massive creatures like woolly mammoths, saber-toothed cats, and giant ground sloths all disappeared from the fossil record within a relatively short period. But once again, snakes proved their incredible resilience. Not only did they survive this latest round of extinctions, but they were perfectly positioned to capitalize on the changing world that emerged. The warming climate created new opportunities, new habitats, and new prey species for these adaptable predators to exploit. During this post-glacial period, something truly remarkable happened. Snake diversity exploded like never before. The relatively stable climate allowed different species to spread into previously inaccessible regions, while geographic isolation led to rapid speciation events. Mountain ranges, rivers, and other barriers separated snake populations, and over thousands of generations, these isolated groups evolved into distinct species with unique characteristics. This is when we start seeing the incredible variety of snake species that exists today. In the rainforests of South America, Some species became masters of arboreal life, developing prehensile tails that worked like a fifth limb for gripping branches. Their bodies became incredibly slender and lightweight, perfect for navigating through the three-dimensional maze of the forest canopy. Meanwhile, in the expanding grasslands of Africa and Asia, other snakes were becoming speed demons. These open country specialists developed longer, more muscular bodies that could generate incredible bursts of speed when chasing down fast-moving prey. Some of these grassland hunters became so efficient that they could catch birds in flight or run down fleeing mammals across open terrain in desert regions around the world. Yet another group of snakes was mastering the art of survival in some of Earth's harshest environments. These desert specialists developed remarkable water conservation abilities, going months without drinking while extracting every drop of moisture from their prey. Their scales became specialized to reduce water loss, and some species even learned to collect dew on their bodies during cool desert nights. But perhaps the most dramatic developments were happening in the world's oceans. Some snake lineages made the bold evolutionary leap from terrestrial to fully aquatic lifestyles. These sea snakes developed paddle-like tails for swimming, specialized salt glands for processing seawater, and incredibly potent venoms designed to quickly immobilize fish prey before it could escape into the vast ocean. The transition to marine life required some truly incredible adaptations. Sea snakes had to solve the fundamental problem of breathing air while spending their entire lives underwater. They evolved in large lungs that can store enough oxygen for extended dives, and some species can actually absorb oxygen directly through their skin while submerged. Their hunting strategies became equally specialized. Unlike their terrestrial cousins, who might wait patiently for prey to come within range, sea snakes had to become active hunters in a three-dimensional aquatic environment. They developed incredible swimming abilities, using their flattened tails like propellers to chase down fish with remarkable speed and agility. What's really mind-blowing is how quickly these marine adaptations evolved. The fossil record suggests that sea snakes made the transition from land to sea in just a few million years, which is incredibly fast in evolutionary terms. It's like watching a completely terrestrial animal redesign itself for an entirely different environment in the blink of an eye, geologically speaking. Around this same time, venomous snakes were reaching new levels of sophistication that would make a biochemist jealous. The complexity of modern snake venoms is absolutely staggering. We're not talking about simple poisons anymore. These are precisely engineered biological weapon systems with multiple redundancies and targeting mechanisms. Consider the venom of a king cobra, one of the most feared snakes on the planet. This isn't just one toxin. It's a carefully balanced cocktail of dozens of different compounds, each designed to attack a specific aspect of the victim's physiology. Some components target the nervous system, blocking nerve signals and causing paralysis. Others attack the cardiovascular system, causing blood pressure to plummet and the heart to stop beating. But here's where it gets really sophisticated. Different components of the venom work on different time scales. Some toxins take effect almost immediately, causing rapid paralysis to prevent the prey from escaping. Others work more slowly, ensuring that even if the initial bite doesn't deliver a lethal dose, the cumulative effect will still be fatal. Even more impressive is how some venomous snakes have developed specialized delivery systems for their toxins. Vipers, for example, have fangs that work like sophisticated ejection systems. These aren't just sharp teeth. They're hollow, needle-like structures connected to venom glands by muscular ducts. When a viper strikes, muscles around the venom glands contract, forcing the toxin through the fangs and directly into the victim's tissue. The precision of this system is remarkable. A viper can control exactly how much venom to inject based on the size and type of prey it's attacking. They can deliver a small dose to subdue a mouse or empty their entire venom reserves when facing a larger, more dangerous threat. It's like having a variable dose syringe built right into their mouth. Some of the most advanced venomous snakes even developed what scientists call metered injection capabilities. These species can deliver multiple bites with precisely controlled venom doses, allowing them to conserve their precious toxins while still ensuring an effective kill. It's incredibly sophisticated biological engineering, but venom evolution didn't stop there. Some species began developing specialized venoms designed for specific types of prey. Fish-eating sea snakes, for example, evolved venoms that work incredibly quickly in aquatic environments, preventing fish from swimming away and drowning before the snake can retrieve them. Bird-eating snakes developed venoms that cause rapid paralysis of flight muscles, bringing down flying prey before it can escape. Even more fascinating are the snakes that have evolved venoms specifically designed to target mammalian physiology. These toxins are precisely tuned to interfere with mammalian nervous systems, circulatory systems, and cellular processes. It's as if millions of years of evolution have been conducting a detailed study of mammalian biology, developing the perfect chemical weapons to exploit every vulnerability. The arms race between venomous snakes and their prey created some truly incredible evolutionary scenarios. As snake venoms became more potent, some prey species began developing resistance mechanisms. Certain mammals evolved specialized blood proteins that can neutralize specific snake toxins, while some birds developed behavioral adaptations that help them avoid venomous snake attacks. This led to an ongoing evolutionary escalation, with snakes developing more sophisticated venoms and prey species evolving better defenses. It's like watching a biological version of military technology development, with each side constantly trying to stay one step ahead of the other. During this period of rapid evolution, non-venomous snakes weren't sitting idle either. Constrictor species were perfecting their own hunting techniques, becoming incredibly efficient killing machines in their own right. Modern pythons and boas have developed constriction abilities that are absolutely terrifying in their effectiveness. The mechanics of constriction are far more sophisticated than most people realize. When a python wraps around its prey, it's not simply squeezing randomly. Instead, it's applying precisely controlled pressure to specific parts of the victim's body, targeting vital blood vessels and breathing mechanisms. Each time the prey exhales, the python tightens its coils slightly, gradually increasing the pressure until circulation stops. What makes this even more impressive is that constrictors can sense their prey's heartbeat and breathing through their coils. They literally feel when the victim's heart stops beating, and only then do they begin the process of swallowing their meal. It's like having built-in medical monitoring equipment that tells them exactly when the job is finished. Some of the largest constrictors develop the ability to take down prey much larger than themselves. Reticulated pythons, for example, have been documented killing and eating animals as large as deer, wild boar, and even small crocodiles. The amount of muscular power required to subdue such large, struggling prey is absolutely enormous. But perhaps the most impressive aspect of constrictor evolution is how they learned to swallow prey many times larger than their own head. This required the development of incredibly flexible skulls with joints that can dislocate and stretch to accommodate massive meals. A python's jaw can unhinge like a snake version of a transformer, expanding to dimensions that seem physically impossible. The process of swallowing large prey is like watching a master class in biological engineering. The snake's throat expands dramatically, its ribs spread apart to make room for the meal, and specialized muscles work in coordinated waves to push the prey down into the stomach. It can take hours for a large python to completely swallow a big meal, and the snake might not need to eat again for months afterward. This feast or famine lifestyle required additional evolutionary adaptations. Constrictors developed the ability to dramatically slow their metabolism between meals, essentially entering a state of suspended animation while digesting their food. Their heart rate drops, their breathing slows, and they become incredibly lethargic, conserving energy while their digestive system works to break down their massive meal. Meanwhile, in different parts of the world, other snake lineages were exploring entirely different evolutionary strategies. Some species became masters of mimicry, developing coloration and behavior patterns that allowed them to imitate more dangerous snakes. Harmless species evolved to look exactly like deadly venomous snakes, gaining protection through deception rather than actual defensive capabilities. This mimicry became so sophisticated that even experienced herpetologists sometimes have difficulty distinguishing between harmless mimics and their dangerous models. Scarlet king snakes, for example, have evolved coloration patterns that closely resemble those of coral snakes, one of North America's most venomous species. The resemblance is so precise that it's given rise to the famous rhyme, "Red touches yellow, kill a fellow, red touches black, friend of Jack." Other snakes went in the opposite direction, developing warning coloration that advertises their dangerous nature. Highly venomous species like coral snakes and many vipers evolved bright, contrasting color patterns that serve as visual warnings to potential predators. It's like wearing a biological danger sign that says, "Stay away or face the consequences." The evolution of these warning signals created fascinating interactions between different snake species. Some harmless snakes evolved to mimic the warning colors of dangerous species, while some dangerous species evolved even more dramatic warning signals to distinguish themselves from harmless mimics. It became an evolutionary game of biological one-upmanship. As human civilization began expanding across the globe, snakes faced an entirely new set of evolutionary pressures: habitat destruction, urbanization, and direct persecution by humans created challenges that no previous generation of snakes had ever encountered. Many species that had thrived for millions of years suddenly found themselves struggling to survive in a rapidly changing world. But once again, snakes demonstrated their remarkable adaptability. Some species actually thrived in human-modified environments, learning to exploit the resources that human settlements provide. Urban-adapted snakes discovered that cities offer abundant prey in the form of rats and mice, while suburban areas provide perfect hunting grounds with their combination of shelter and food sources. Certain snake species became so well adapted to human environments that they're now more common in cities than in their original wild habitats. These urban colonizers developed behavioral changes that helped them avoid human detection, hunting primarily at night and using storm drains, abandoned buildings, and overgrown lots as shelter. The speed of this urban adaptation has been remarkable. In some cases, snake populations have developed city-specific behaviors within just a few decades. Urban snakes often show reduced fear responses to human activity, modified hunting schedules that avoid peak human activity periods, and even changes in their preferred prey species based on what's available in city environments. Some of the most successful urban adapters are the species that were already generalists in their natural habitats. Snakes that could eat a wide variety of prey and tolerate different environmental conditions proved to be pre-adapted for life alongside humans. These flexible species simply expanded their already broad ecological niches to include human-modified landscapes. However, not all snakes have been so fortunate. Many specialist species with narrow habitat requirements or specific prey preferences have struggled to adapt to rapid human-caused environmental changes. Forest specialists that require old-growth timber, aquatic species that need pristine water quality, and desert specialists adapted to specific soil types have all faced significant population declines. The introduction of invasive species has created additional challenges for native snake populations. In some regions, introduced mammals, birds, and reptiles have either competed with snakes for food resources or directly preyed upon them. The mongoose introductions in various island environments have been particularly devastating for local snake populations. Climate change is now presenting snakes with yet another set of evolutionary challenges. Shifting temperature and precipitation patterns are altering the geographic ranges where different species can survive, forcing rapid adaptations or population movements. Some northern species are expanding their ranges as temperatures warm, while others are being pushed toward higher elevations or latitudes to find suitable conditions. The speed of modern climate change is testing the adaptive limits of even these remarkably flexible creatures. While snakes have survived dramatic climate shifts in the past, those changes typically occurred over thousands or millions of years. The current rate of environmental change is happening within decades, leaving little time for gradual evolutionary responses. Despite these modern challenges, snakes continue to demonstrate the same evolutionary creativity that has carried them through 160 million years of Earth's history. New species are still being discovered regularly, particularly in remote tropical regions where human impact has been minimal. Each new discovery adds another piece to the incredible puzzle of snake evolution. Recent genetic studies have revealed that snake diversity is even greater than we previously imagined. Many species that were thought to be single, widespread populations have turned out to be complexes of closely related but distinct species. This cryptic diversity suggests that the true number of snake species on Earth might be significantly higher than our current count of nearly 4,000. The story of snake evolution is far from over. As Earth continues to change and new environmental challenges emerge, these remarkable creatures will undoubtedly continue adapting, evolving, and finding ways to thrive. They've survived asteroid impacts, ice ages, mass extinctions, and dramatic climate shifts. Their evolutionary track record suggests they'll find ways to navigate whatever challenges the future might bring. What makes snakes truly extraordinary isn't just their physical adaptations or their hunting prowess. It's their incredible evolutionary resilience, their ability to reinvent themselves over and over again in response to changing conditions. They've transformed from small four-legged lizards into limbless predators, developed some of the most sophisticated biological weapon systems on Earth, conquered virtually every habitat on the planet, and even learned to coexist with humanity. This evolutionary journey represents one of the most remarkable transformation stories in the history of life on Earth, from humble beginnings in prehistoric forests to their current status as one of the most successful and diverse groups of vertebrates. Snakes have proven that sometimes the most unlikely evolutionary experiments can lead to extraordinary success. The next time you encounter a snake, whether it's a harmless garter snake in your garden or a massive python in a nature documentary, remember that you're looking at the end result of one of evolution's greatest success stories. That sleek, limbless form represents 160 million years of continuous adaptation, innovation, and survival against incredible odds. And the story continues to unfold. Somewhere in a tropical forest, a new species of snake is probably evolving right now, developing new adaptations that will help it thrive in its specific environment. Somewhere else, an established species is adapting to new challenges, modifying its behavior or physiology to survive in a changing world. The evolution of snakes isn't just a story about the past. It's an ongoing saga that's still being written. These remarkable creatures continue to surprise scientists with their adaptability, their diversity, and their incredible ability to find evolutionary solutions to seemingly impossible challenges. But here's where the story takes another fascinating turn, because modern snake evolution isn't just about surviving in a changing world. It's about developing sensory capabilities that would make cutting-edge technology seem primitive by comparison. We're talking about biological systems so advanced that engineers are still trying to figure out how they work. Remember those pit vipers we mentioned earlier? Their thermal detection abilities are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to snake sensory evolution. These incredible hunters have essentially developed biological infrared cameras that can detect temperature differences so minute that our best scientific instruments struggle to match their sensitivity. But here's what's really mind-blowing. They can process this thermal information in real time, while simultaneously coordinating a lightning-fast strike. Think about the computational power required for that kind of sensory integration. A pit viper hunting in complete darkness has to take thermal data from its specialized organs, combine it with information from its regular vision, factor in input from its chemical detection systems, calculate the exact trajectory needed to intercept a moving target, and execute a precise strike that lands within milliseconds. It's like having a biological supercomputer dedicated entirely to predatory precision. But thermal detection is just one piece of the sensory puzzle that snakes have been perfecting over millions of years. The evolution of their chemical sensing capabilities represents another quantum leap in biological engineering. When you see a snake flicking its tongue, you're witnessing one of the most sophisticated analytical systems in the natural world at work. Here's how incredibly advanced this system really is. When a snake extends its forked tongue, it's not just randomly sampling the air. Each fork of the tongue is collecting chemical particles from slightly different locations, creating a three-dimensional chemical map of the environment. These particles are then transferred to the Jacobson's organ, which can analyze them with a precision that would make a forensic laboratory jealous. The level of detail this system can provide is absolutely staggering. A snake can determine not just what animals have passed through an area, but when they were there, what direction they were traveling, whether they were healthy or injured, stressed or relaxed, and even what they had been eating. It's like reading a chemical story written in the air, with each molecule providing another piece of crucial information. Some snakes have taken this chemical detection to such extremes that they can follow scent trails that are days old, tracking prey across vast distances with the determination of a bloodhound. But unlike a dog, which relies primarily on scent molecules in the air, snakes can also analyze chemical traces left on the ground, creating a multi-layered tracking system that's virtually impossible to evade. The precision of this chemical navigation is so remarkable that researchers are studying snake sensory systems to develop new technologies for everything from medical diagnostics to environmental monitoring. The idea that a biological system developed through millions of years of evolution might hold the key to advancing human technology is absolutely fascinating. As we move into more recent evolutionary periods, snake diversity began exploding in ways that challenge our understanding of how quickly species can adapt and specialize. The relatively stable climate conditions of the last few million years created perfect conditions for what scientists call adaptive radiation, where a single ancestral species rapidly evolves into multiple specialized forms. Consider what happened in island environments around the world. When snakes first colonized isolated islands, they encountered ecosystems with unique challenges and opportunities. Some islands had no large predators, allowing snakes to grow to enormous sizes. Others had abundant bird populations but few mammals, driving the evolution of specialized avian hunters. Still others had unique prey species that required entirely new hunting strategies. The results of this island evolution are some of the most remarkable snakes on Earth. In some locations, snakes evolved to become the apex predators of their ecosystems, growing larger and more powerful than their mainland relatives. In others, they became incredibly specialized, developing hunting techniques so specific that they can only survive by targeting one or two prey species. One of the most incredible examples of this specialization is found in snakes that have evolved to hunt specific types of prey exclusively. Some species have become so adapted to catching birds that they've developed lightning-fast strike speeds and specialized venom formulations that cause immediate paralysis of flight muscles. Others have become fish specialists, evolving streamlined bodies and underwater hunting techniques that rival those of aquatic predators. The speed at which these specializations developed is what makes them so remarkable from an evolutionary perspective. In geological terms, many of these adaptations appeared almost overnight. A snake species might colonize an island and within a few 100,000 years evolve into something completely different from its ancestral form. This rapid evolution wasn't limited to islands either. As continental environments became more diverse and fragmented, snake populations found themselves isolated in different habitats, each with its own unique selective pressures. Mountain ranges, deserts, rivers, and forests all became evolutionary laboratories where different snake lineages experimented with new ways of making a living. The result is the incredible diversity we see today, where snakes have found ways to thrive in virtually every environment on Earth. From the Arctic tundra to tropical rainforests, from ocean depths to mountain peaks, snakes have proven that with enough evolutionary time and creativity, life can adapt to almost anything. But perhaps the most impressive aspect of modern snake evolution is how they have learned to coexist with the most unpredictable species on the planet, humans. The rise of human civilization presented snakes with challenges unlike anything they had faced in their entire evolutionary history. Suddenly, their habitats were being transformed at unprecedented speeds. New competitors and predators were being introduced, and they were facing direct persecution from a species that seemed determined to eliminate them. Yet many snake species have not only survived this human expansion, but have actually learned to exploit it. Urban environments, which might seem like the last place you'd expect to find wild snakes, have become home to thriving populations of adaptable species. These urban colonizers have developed behavioral modifications that allow them to navigate the complex landscape of human-dominated environments. City-dwelling snakes have learned to time their activities to avoid peak human activity periods, using the cover of darkness to hunt in parks, gardens, and abandoned lots. They've discovered that urban environments often provide abundant prey in the form of rats and mice, creatures that have also learned to thrive alongside humans. In many cases, these urban snake populations are actually helping to control rodent populations that would otherwise become serious pests. The behavioral changes that allow snakes to succeed in urban environments are happening remarkably quickly. Researchers have documented cases where snake populations have modified their behavior within just a few generations. developing city-specific hunting patterns and habitat preferences. It's like watching evolution in fast forward, with natural selection rapidly favoring individuals that can best navigate the challenges of urban life. Some urban snakes have even learned to exploit human infrastructure for their own purposes. Storm drain systems provide perfect highway networks for snake movement, while abandoned buildings offer ideal shelter sites. These adaptable serpents have essentially learned to see human cities not as obstacles, but as complex three-dimensional habitats full of opportunities. The success of urban adapted snakes has important implications for understanding how wildlife can coexist with human development. These species demonstrate that with sufficient evolutionary flexibility, even highly specialized predators can find ways to thrive in human-modified landscapes. They've become living examples of urban wildlife conservation success stories. However, not all snakes have been equally successful at adapting to human presence. Species with very specific habitat requirements or narrow prey preferences have struggled to cope with rapid environmental changes. Forest specialists that require old-growth timber, aquatic species that need pristine water conditions, and desert dwellers adapted to specific soil types have all faced significant challenges. The conservation implications of these different adaptive responses are profound. While some snake species are thriving in human-dominated landscapes, others are experiencing rapid population declines or even facing extinction. Understanding which characteristics make some species more adaptable than others is crucial for developing effective conservation strategies. Climate change is now adding another layer of complexity to the evolutionary challenges facing modern snakes. Shifting temperature and precipitation patterns are altering the geographic ranges where different species can survive, creating a situation where snakes must either adapt quickly or move to more suitable locations. For species at the northern limits of their ranges, warming temperatures are creating opportunities to expand into previously unsuitable territories. Some snakes are already extending their ranges northward as winters become milder and growing seasons longer. These range expansions are happening in real time, allowing researchers to observe biogeographic changes as they occur. Conversely, species adapted to cooler conditions are finding themselves squeezed into increasingly small refugia. As temperatures rise, mountain-dwelling snakes, for example, are being forced to move to higher elevations to find suitable conditions, but eventually they may run out of mountain to climb. The speed of current climate change is testing even the remarkable adaptability that has characterized snake evolution for millions of years. While these creatures have survived dramatic climate shifts in the past, those changes typically unfolded over thousands or millions of years. The current rate of environmental change is occurring within decades, leaving little time for gradual evolutionary responses. Some snake populations are already showing signs of rapid evolutionary adaptation to changing conditions. Researchers have documented changes in body size, reproductive timing, and behavioral patterns that appear to be responses to altered environmental conditions. These rapid adaptations suggest that natural selection can work much faster than previously thought when selective pressures are strong enough. The study of these contemporary evolutionary changes is providing new insights into how evolution actually works in real time. Scientists are gaining unprecedented opportunities to observe natural selection in action, documenting how populations respond to environmental challenges within time frames that human researchers can actually study. Modern genetic techniques are also revealing previously hidden aspects of snake evolutionary history. DNA analysis has shown that many species we thought we knew well are actually complexes of closely related but distinct populations. This cryptic diversity suggests that the true extent of snake species richness is far greater than traditional taxonomy had indicated. These genetic studies are also uncovering the evolutionary relationships between different snake groups, helping scientists understand how various lineages are related and when they diverged from common ancestors. The resulting evolutionary trees are revealing surprising connections and helping to resolve long-standing questions about snake phylogeny. One of the most exciting discoveries from genetic research is evidence of ongoing hybridization between different snake species. In some cases, closely related species that were thought to be reproductively isolated are actually exchanging genes through occasional interbreeding. This gene flow can introduce novel genetic variations that provide raw material for future evolutionary adaptations. The implications of these genetic discoveries extend far beyond academic interest. Understanding the genetic basis of snake adaptations could lead to breakthroughs in fields ranging from medicine to material science. Snake venom research, for example, has already contributed to the development of new pharmaceuticals for treating heart conditions, blood clots, and chronic pain. The incredible diversity of venom compositions across different snake species represents a vast library of biological compounds with potential medical applications. Each species has evolved its own unique cocktail of toxins, and many of these compounds have properties that could be useful for treating human diseases. Researchers are essentially mining millions of years of evolutionary experimentation for compounds that might benefit human health. Similarly, the biomechanical properties of snake locomotion are inspiring new approaches to robotics and engineering. The efficiency with which snakes move through complex three-dimensional environments has applications for everything from search and rescue robots to space exploration vehicles. Engineers are studying snake movement to develop machines that can navigate through tight spaces or across difficult terrain. The hierarchical structure of snake scales is another area of intense research interest. These scales provide protection while maintaining flexibility, a combination that's extremely difficult to achieve in human-designed materials. Understanding how snake scales work could lead to new developments in protective clothing, vehicle armor, and architectural materials. Even the sensory capabilities of snakes are inspiring technological innovations. Researchers are working to develop artificial systems that mimic the thermal detection abilities of pit vipers or the chemical sensing capabilities of snake tongues. These bio-inspired technologies could have applications in medical diagnostics, environmental monitoring, and security systems. The ongoing study of snake evolution is also contributing to our broader understanding of how life responds to environmental challenges. Snakes represent one of the most successful examples of evolutionary adaptation, having survived multiple mass extinctions and thrived in virtually every environment on Earth. Their success story provides valuable insights into the factors that promote evolutionary resilience. As we look toward the future, snakes will undoubtedly continue to surprise us with their adaptability and evolutionary creativity. New species are still being discovered regularly, particularly in remote tropical regions and deep ocean environments. Each new discovery adds another piece to the puzzle of snake diversity and provides new insights into the evolutionary process. The rate of species discovery suggests that we're still far from having a complete picture of global snake diversity. Molecular techniques are revealing that many widespread species are actually complexes of closely related but distinct forms. This cryptic diversity means that the true number of snake species on Earth is likely much higher than current estimates. Future research will undoubtedly reveal new aspects of snake biology that we can barely imagine today. Advanced imaging techniques are providing unprecedented views of internal anatomy and physiology. Genetic sequencing is uncovering the molecular mechanisms underlying adaptation. Behavioral studies are revealing complex social interactions and learning abilities that challenge traditional assumptions about reptile intelligence. The integration of these different research approaches is painting an increasingly sophisticated picture of snakes as complex, adaptable, and intelligent creatures. Far from being simple, primitive reptiles, modern snakes emerge as highly evolved specialists with remarkable capabilities that often exceed those of supposedly more advanced vertebrates. As human technology continues to advance, our ability to study and understand snake evolution will only improve. Satellite tracking is allowing researchers to follow individual snakes across vast distances, revealing migration patterns and habitat use that were previously invisible. Remote sensing technologies are providing detailed information about habitat changes and their effects on snake populations. Citizen science projects are also contributing valuable data about snake distributions and behaviors. Smartphone apps that allow people to report snake sightings are generating massive data sets that help researchers track population trends and range changes in real time. This democratization of scientific data collection is accelerating our understanding of how snake populations are responding to environmental changes. The story of snake evolution represents one of the most remarkable chapters in the history of life on Earth. From their humble origins as small four-legged lizards to their current status as one of the most diverse and successful groups of vertebrates, snakes have demonstrated the incredible power of evolutionary adaptation. Their journey through deep time encompasses some of the most dramatic events in Earth's history. The rise and fall of the dinosaurs, massive climate changes, asteroid impacts, ice ages, and the emergence of human civilization. Through it all, snakes have not only survived, but thrived, constantly reinventing themselves in response to new challenges and opportunities. The evolutionary innovations that snakes have developed over millions of years continue to inspire and amaze scientists. From their sophisticated sensory systems to their deadly venoms, from their efficient locomotion to their remarkable feeding abilities, Snakes represent a masterclass in biological engineering. But perhaps most impressive of all is their ongoing adaptability. Even as they face the unprecedented challenges of the modern world, from habitat destruction to climate change, many snake species continue to find ways to survive and even prosper. Their success in adapting to human-dominated landscapes demonstrates that evolution is not just a historical process, but an ongoing phenomenon that continues to shape life on Earth. The next chapter in the snake evolution story is being written right now in forests and deserts, cities and oceans around the world. Somewhere, a snake population is adapting to a new environment, developing new behaviors, or even beginning to evolve into something entirely different. The remarkable journey that began over 160 million years ago continues, and there's no telling what amazing adaptations the future might bring. Understanding snake evolution provides us with more than just fascinating stories about the natural world. It offers insights into the fundamental processes that drive all life on Earth, from the smallest microbes to the largest mammals. The principles that have guided snake evolution, adaptability, specialization, and resilience are the same forces that shape all biological diversity. As we face our own challenges in an uncertain future, there are lessons to be learned from the evolutionary success of snakes, their ability to adapt to changing conditions, to find opportunity in crisis, and to persist through seemingly impossible challenges offers hope and inspiration for our own species' future. The story of snake evolution is ultimately a story about the incredible creativity and resilience of life itself. It demonstrates that given enough time and opportunity, evolution can produce solutions to almost any challenge, creating forms of life that are both beautiful and perfectly adapted to their environments. From the tiny thread snakes that are barely thicker than a pencil, lead to the massive pythons that can swallow prey larger than themselves, from the lightning-fast vipers with their deadly precision to the gentle constrictors with their patient hunting strategies, snakes represent one of evolution's greatest success stories. Their legacy continues to unfold in laboratories and field stations around the world, where researchers work to understand the mechanisms behind their success. Each new discovery adds another piece to our understanding of how life adapts and thrives in an ever-changing world. The insane evolution of snakes is far from over. As long as Earth continues to change and new challenges emerge, these remarkable creatures will undoubtedly continue to surprise us with new adaptations, new behaviors, and new ways of making a living in an unpredictable world. Their evolutionary journey, which began in the shadows of the dinosaurs, continues today and will likely continue for millions of years to come. The next time you encounter a snake, whether in the wild or in captivity, take a moment to appreciate the incredible evolutionary journey that brought it to that moment. You're looking at a living testament to the power of adaptation, a creature whose ancestors survived asteroid impacts, ice ages, and countless other challenges to become one of the most successful forms of life on our planet. That sleek, efficient form represents not just millions of years of evolutionary refinement, but also the ongoing story of life's endless creativity in the face of change. In a world where the pace of environmental change seems to accelerate daily, snakes offer a powerful reminder that life finds a way, that adaptation is possible, and that evolution never stops writing new chapters in the story of life on Earth. The genius of snake evolution becomes even more apparent when we examine how these creatures develop their most iconic feature, the ability to consume prey many times larger than their own head. This isn't just impressive, it's mechanically impossible, according to basic physics. Yet snakes figured out how to do it anyway. Picture trying to swallow something 3 times wider than your mouth. For humans, that would be like attempting to eat a watermelon whole. It's physically impossible because our jaws are rigidly connected and our throat has fixed dimensions. But snakes completely rewrote the rules of vertebrate anatomy to solve this problem. The key breakthrough came through developing what scientists call kinetic skulls. Unlike our rigid skull structure, snake skulls are essentially modular construction systems with multiple moving parts. Their lower jaw can actually separate into 2 independent halves, each capable of moving independently. It's like having a mouth that can transform into a completely different shape based on what you're trying to eat. But that's just the beginning of this anatomical marvel. Snake skulls contain over 20 different bones that can move independently, connected by stretchy ligaments that allow for incredible expansion. When a large python prepares to swallow a deer, its skull literally disassembles and reassembles itself into a feeding configuration that bears little resemblance to its normal head shape. The process of consuming oversized prey is like watching biological origami in reverse. First, the snake's jaw joints dislocate, allowing the mouth to open far beyond what seems possible. Then, the left and right sides of the lower jaw begin working independently, with one side gripping the prey while the other advances forward to get a new hold. It's a ratcheting system that gradually works the meal deeper into the throat. Meanwhile, the snake's throat is undergoing its own dramatic transformation. The windpipe, which in most animals would be blocked by large food items, can actually be pushed to one side and extended out of the mouth like a biological snorkel. This allows the snake to continue breathing, even while its throat is completely stuffed with prey. The entire digestive system had to evolve to handle this feast or famine lifestyle. Snake stomachs can expand to accommodate meals that represent 50% or more of the snake's total body weight. Imagine eating a meal that weighs half as much as you do, then not eating again for 3 months. That's routine for many large snake species. But consuming massive meals was only half the challenge. Snake evolution also had to solve the problem of actually digesting these enormous food items. Their digestive systems became incredibly efficient biological recycling plants, capable of breaking down and absorbing virtually every component of their prey. Snake digestive acids are among the most powerful in the animal kingdom, capable of dissolving bones, teeth, and even horn. Their stomachs produce enzymes that can break down proteins, fats, and carbohydrates with remarkable efficiency. Nothing goes to waste in a snake's digestive system. Even the calcium from bones gets absorbed and recycled. The efficiency of this digestive process is staggering. A python that swallows a deer will eventually produce waste products that represent less than 5% of the original meal's mass. Everything else gets completely absorbed and converted into snake tissue or energy reserves. It's like having a biological conversion system that operates at near-perfect efficiency. This digestive prowess required another incredible adaptation, the ability to dramatically alter their metabolism based on feeding status. When snakes aren't actively digesting food, their metabolic rate drops to incredibly low levels. Their heart rate slows, their breathing becomes minimal, and they enter a state that's almost like suspended animation. But when they do eat, everything changes. Their metabolic rate can increase by over 40 times within hours of consuming a meal. Their heart grows larger to pump more blood, their liver expands to process nutrients, and their intestines increase in mass to maximize absorption. It's like switching from idle mode to full power operation at the flip of a biological switch. This metabolic flexibility gave snakes enormous advantages over competitors with more rigid energy requirements. While other predators needed to hunt regularly to maintain their energy levels, snakes could afford to wait for perfect opportunities. They became the ultimate patience predators, capable of remaining motionless for weeks until the ideal prey presented itself. As snake feeding strategies became more sophisticated, their hunting techniques evolved to match. Different species developed radically different approaches to capturing and subduing prey, each perfectly suited to their specific environment and target species. Ambush predators perfected the art of invisible waiting. These snakes developed camouflage so effective that they became virtually undetectable even when hiding in plain sight. Their coloration and patterning evolved to match their preferred hunting locations with photographic precision. A gaboon viper lying among fallen leaves is essentially invisible until it moves. The patience of these ambush specialists is legendary. They can remain completely motionless for days or even weeks, waiting for prey to come within striking distance. During this time, they're conserving energy at such low metabolic rates that they're barely alive in any conventional sense. Yet they remain alert and ready to explode into action at a moment's notice. When the strike finally comes, it happens with incredible speed and precision. Some vipers can accelerate their heads at over 50 times the force of gravity, faster than most people can blink. The entire attack sequence, from initial movement to venom injection, occurs in less than 1/10 of a second. Active hunters took a completely different evolutionary path, developing speed and endurance rather than patience and stealth. These snakes became the cheetahs of the serpent world, capable of pursuing prey across open terrain with remarkable persistence. Some species can maintain pursuit speeds that would challenge a running human. The anatomical changes required for high-speed locomotion were extensive. Active hunting snakes developed longer, more muscular bodies with specialized vertebrae that provide extra flexibility and power. Their scales evolved to reduce friction while maximizing grip, creating biological traction systems optimized for rapid movement. But perhaps the most impressive development was in their cardiovascular systems. High-speed hunting requires enormous amounts of oxygen and energy, So these snakes evolved larger hearts, more efficient lungs, and enhanced blood circulation systems. They essentially became reptilian athletes, capable of sustained high-performance activity that would exhaust most other cold-blooded animals. The diversity of hunting strategies extended beyond just ambush versus active pursuit. Some snakes became specialists in three-dimensional environments, developing abilities that allowed them to hunt in trees, underground, or even in water with equal effectiveness. Arboreal species evolved into living cables, capable of bridging gaps between branches that seem impossible for an animal without limbs. Their bodies became incredibly strong yet flexible, able to support their entire weight while reaching across empty space to grab prey or navigate through the forest canopy. These tree-dwelling specialists developed prehensile tails that function like additional limbs, providing anchor points and balance while hunting or moving through complex three-dimensional environments. Some species can literally tie themselves in knots to create stable platforms for striking at prey from impossible angles. Burrowing snakes went in the opposite direction, evolving into biological drilling machines capable of moving through soil with remarkable efficiency. Their heads became reinforced battering rams. Their bodies developed specialized scales for reducing friction underground, and their entire sensory systems adapted to hunting in complete darkness. These subterranean specialists can detect prey vibrations through solid ground, tracking earthworms and other underground creatures with the same precision that surface snakes use to follow scent trails. They've essentially learned to hunt in a completely alien environment where traditional senses like vision become useless. Aquatic snakes faced even greater challenges, having to master an environment where traditional snake locomotion doesn't work effectively. They developed paddle-like tails for propulsion, specialized scales that reduce drag while swimming, and modified respiratory systems that allow for extended underwater hunting. Sea snakes took aquatic adaptation to its absolute limits, evolving into creatures that are more at home in water than on land. Their entire body plan became streamlined for aquatic life, with flattened tails that work like propellers and modified lung systems that allow for dives lasting over an hour. But the most remarkable aspect of sea snake evolution might be their venom systems. These aquatic hunters had to solve a unique problem. How do you inject venom into prey that might swim away and disappear into the vast ocean before the toxins take effect? Their solution was to develop some of the most potent venoms on Earth, designed to immobilize fish prey almost instantly. The potency of sea snake venoms is absolutely staggering. Some species produce toxins that are 10 times more powerful than those of their terrestrial relatives. A single bite can contain enough venom to kill dozens of large fish, ensuring that prey doesn't escape even in the three-dimensional hunting environment of the ocean. Meanwhile, back on land, venomous snakes were perfecting their own incredible biochemical innovations. The evolution of venom represents one of the most sophisticated arms races in natural history, with snakes constantly developing new toxins while their prey evolved countermeasures. Modern snake venoms are far more complex than simple poisons. They're precisely engineered biological weapon systems containing dozens of different compounds, each designed to attack specific aspects of prey physiology. Some components target the nervous system, others attack blood cells, and still others break down tissue at the cellular level. The sophistication of these venom cocktails is mind-boggling. Different components are designed to work on different time scales, creating cascading effects that ensure prey cannot escape even if the initial bite doesn't deliver an immediately lethal dose. It's like biological warfare conducted at the molecular level. Some venomous snakes develop the ability to modify their venom composition based on the type of prey they're attacking. They can deliver different toxin cocktails for birds versus mammals, or adjust the potency based on the size of their target. It's like having a variable dose pharmaceutical system built right into their fangs. The delivery mechanisms for these venoms became equally sophisticated. Viper fangs evolved into precision injection systems with hollow cores and beveled tips that can penetrate skin and deliver toxins directly into tissue or bloodstream. The mechanics rival those of the finest medical syringes. Some species developed even more advanced delivery systems. Spitting cobras evolved the ability to spray venom accurately over distances of several feet, targeting the eyes of potential threats with remarkable precision. They essentially turned their venom delivery system into a biological projectile weapon. The evolutionary arms race between venomous snakes and their prey created some fascinating biological scenarios. As snake venoms became more potent, some prey species began developing resistance mechanisms. Certain mammals evolved specialized blood proteins that can neutralize specific toxins, while others developed behavioral adaptations that help them avoid venomous attacks. This led to an ongoing escalation, with snakes developing more sophisticated venoms and prey species evolving better defenses. Some venomous snakes even evolved multiple types of venom glands, allowing them to produce different toxin cocktails for different situations. The complexity of this evolutionary interaction extends beyond just predator and prey relationships. Some snakes developed venom specifically designed for defense rather than hunting, creating toxins that cause intense pain or tissue damage without necessarily being lethal. It's like having separate pharmaceutical formulations for different purposes. Non-venomous species weren't passive observers in this evolutionary arms race. Many developed impressive defensive adaptations of their own, from intimidating threat displays to sophisticated mimicry systems that allow harmless species to masquerade as dangerous ones. The evolution of defensive mimicry created some of nature's most convincing impersonations. Harmless species evolved to look, move, and even behave exactly like their dangerous relatives. The resemblance became so precise that even experienced researchers sometimes have difficulty distinguishing between harmless mimics and their venomous models. This mimicry arms race led to increasingly sophisticated deception strategies. Some harmless snakes not only copied the appearance of dangerous species, but also learned to mimic their defensive behaviors, threat displays, and even their movement patterns. It became biological theater, performed at the highest possible level. The success of these mimicry systems demonstrates the incredible power of natural selection to create precise solutions to survival challenges. When the stakes are life and death, evolution can produce adaptations that seem almost impossibly perfect in their execution. As human civilization expanded across the globe, snakes faced entirely new evolutionary pressures that no previous generation had encountered. The rapid transformation of natural habitats into agricultural and urban landscapes created challenges that tested even their legendary adaptability. Some species proved remarkably successful at exploiting human-modified environments. These adaptable colonizers discovered that human settlements often provide abundant prey in the form of rodents, while offering shelter in the form of buildings, storm drains, and landscaped areas. The behavioral flexibility required for urban success is remarkable. City-dwelling snakes learned to modify their activity patterns to avoid human contact, hunt in artificial environments, and even exploit human infrastructure for their own purposes. They essentially learned to see cities as complex three-dimensional habitats full of opportunities rather than obstacles. Urban snake populations began developing city-specific adaptations within remarkably short time periods. Some species showed reduced fear responses to human activity, modified hunting schedules that avoid peak human activity periods, and even dietary shifts based on the prey species available in urban environments. The speed of these urban adaptations provides fascinating insights into how rapidly evolution can operate when selective pressures are strong enough. In some cases, measurable behavioral and even physical changes appeared within just a few generations of urban colonization. However, not all snake species proved equally capable of adapting to human presence. Specialists with narrow habitat requirements or specific prey preferences struggled to cope with rapid environmental changes. Many forest specialists, aquatic species requiring pristine water quality, and desert dwellers adapted to specific soil conditions face significant population declines. The introduction of invasive species created additional evolutionary challenges. In many regions, introduced mammals, birds, and reptiles either competed with native snakes for resources or directly preyed upon them. These novel predator-prey relationships created evolutionary pressures that native snake populations had never experienced. Some of the most dramatic examples occurred on islands where introduced predators decimated snake populations that had evolved without such threats. The introduction of mongooses, cats, and other predators to island environments proved catastrophic for many endemic snake species. Climate change now represents perhaps the greatest evolutionary challenge that snakes have faced since the asteroid impact that ended the age of dinosaurs. Shifting temperature and precipitation patterns are altering the geographic ranges where different species can survive, forcing rapid adaptations or population movements. The speed of current climate change is testing the adaptive limits of even these remarkably flexible creatures. While snakes have survived dramatic climate shifts throughout their evolutionary history, those changes typically occurred over thousands or millions of years. Current environmental changes are happening within decades, leaving little time for gradual evolutionary responses. Some snake populations are already showing signs of rapid evolutionary adaptation to changing conditions. Researchers have documented changes in body size, reproductive timing, and behavioral patterns that appear to be direct responses to altered environmental conditions. These rapid adaptations suggest that natural selection can work much faster than previously thought when selective pressures are sufficiently intense. Northern species are expanding their ranges as temperatures warm, colonizing areas that were previously too cold for survival. These range expansions are happening in real time, allowing researchers to observe biogeographic changes as they occur. It's like watching evolution and ecology interact on fast forward. Conversely, species adapted to cooler conditions are finding themselves increasingly restricted to smaller refugial areas as temperatures rise. Mountain-dwelling species are being forced to move to higher elevations, but eventually they may run out of suitable habitat as warming continues. The study of these contemporary evolutionary changes is providing unprecedented insights into how evolution actually works in real time. Scientists are gaining remarkable opportunities to observe natural selection in action, documenting how populations respond to environmental challenges within time frames that human researchers can actually study. Modern genetic techniques are revealing previously hidden aspects of snake evolutionary history and ongoing adaptation. DNA analysis has shown that many species we thought we understood well are actually complexes of closely related but distinct populations, each with its own evolutionary trajectory. These genetic studies are uncovering the molecular mechanisms underlying adaptation, showing exactly how genetic changes translate into physical and behavioral modifications. The resulting picture of evolution is far more dynamic and rapid than traditional views suggested. Evidence of ongoing hybridization between different snake species is also emerging from genetic research. In some cases, closely related species that were thought to be reproductively isolated are actually exchanging genes through occasional interbreeding. This gene flow can introduce novel genetic variations that provide raw material for future evolutionary adaptations. The implications of these genetic discoveries extend far beyond academic interest. Understanding the genetic basis of snake adaptations is contributing to breakthroughs in fields ranging from medicine to materials science. Snake venoms, for example, have already led to the development of new pharmaceuticals for treating cardiovascular disease, neurological conditions, and chronic pain. The incredible diversity of venom compositions across different snake species represents a vast library of biological compounds with potential medical applications. Each species has evolved its own unique cocktail of toxins, and many of these compounds have properties that could revolutionize human medicine. Similarly, the biomechanical properties of snake locomotion are inspiring new approaches to robotics and engineering. The efficiency with which snakes move through complex environments has applications for search and rescue robots, space exploration vehicles, and military applications. The hierarchical structure of snake scales is another area of intense research interest. These biological materials provide protection while maintaining flexibility, a combination that's extremely difficult to achieve in human-designed materials. Understanding how snake scales work could lead to revolutionary developments in protective equipment and architectural materials. Even the sensory capabilities of snakes are inspiring technological innovations. Researchers are working to develop artificial systems that mimic the thermal detection abilities of pit vipers or the chemical sensing capabilities of snake tongues. These bio-inspired technologies could transform fields ranging from medical diagnostics to environmental monitoring. The ongoing study of snake evolution continues to contribute to our broader understanding of how life responds to environmental challenges. Snakes represent one of the most successful examples of evolutionary adaptation in the history of life on Earth, having survived multiple mass extinctions and thrived in virtually every environment on the planet. As we look toward the future, snakes will undoubtedly continue to surprise us with their adaptability and evolutionary creativity. New species are still being discovered regularly, particularly in remote tropical regions and deep ocean environments. Each new discovery adds another piece to the incredible puzzle of snake diversity. The rate of species discovery suggests that we're still far from having a complete picture of global snake diversity. Molecular techniques are revealing that many widespread species are actually complexes of closely related but distinct forms, indicating that the true number of snake species on Earth is likely much higher than current estimates. Future research will undoubtedly reveal new aspects of snake biology that we can barely imagine today. Advanced imaging techniques are providing unprecedented views of internal anatomy and physiology, while genetic sequencing is uncovering the molecular mechanisms underlying their remarkable adaptations. The integration of these different research approaches is painting an increasingly sophisticated picture of snakes as complex, adaptable, and remarkably successful creatures. Far from being simple, primitive reptiles, modern snakes emerge as highly evolved specialists with capabilities that often exceed those of supposedly more advanced vertebrates. As human technology continues to advance, our ability to study and understand snake evolution will only improve. Satellite tracking allows researchers to follow individual snakes across vast distances, revealing migration patterns and habitat use that were previously invisible. Remote sensing technologies provide detailed information about habitat changes and their effects on snake populations. Citizen science projects are also contributing valuable data about snake distributions and behaviors. Smartphone applications that allow people to report snake sightings are generating massive data sets that help researchers track population trends and range changes in real time. This democratization of scientific data collection is accelerating our understanding of how snake populations respond to environmental changes. The story of snake evolution represents one of the most remarkable chapters in the history of life on Earth. From their humble origins as small four-legged lizards living in the shadows of dinosaurs to their current status as one of the most diverse and successful groups of vertebrates. Snakes have demonstrated the incredible power of evolutionary adaptation. Their journey through deep time encompasses some of the most dramatic events in Earth's history: the rise and fall of the dinosaurs, massive climate changes, asteroid impacts, ice ages, and the emergence of human civilization. Through it all, snakes have not only survived, but thrived, constantly reinventing themselves in response to new challenges and opportunities. The evolutionary innovations that snakes have developed over millions of years continue to inspire and amaze scientists. From their sophisticated sensory systems to their deadly venoms, from their efficient locomotion to their remarkable feeding abilities, snakes represent a master class in biological engineering that continues to influence human technology and medicine. But perhaps most impressive of all is their ongoing adaptability. Even as they face the unprecedented challenges of the modern world, from habitat destruction to climate change, many snake species continue to find ways to survive and even prosper. Their success in adapting to human-dominated landscapes demonstrates that evolution is not just a historical process, but an ongoing phenomenon that continues to shape life on Earth. The next chapter in the snake evolution story is being written right now in forests and deserts, cities and oceans around the world. Somewhere, a snake population is adapting to a new environment, developing new behaviors, or even beginning to evolve into something entirely different from what came before. Understanding snake evolution provides us with more than just fascinating stories about the natural world. It offers profound insights into the fundamental processes that drive all life on Earth, from the smallest microbes to the largest mammals. The principles that have guided snake evolution, adaptability, specialization, and resilience, are the same forces that shape all biological diversity. As we face our own challenges in an uncertain future, there are valuable lessons to be learned from the evolutionary success of snakes. Their ability to adapt to changing conditions, to find opportunity in crisis, and to persist through seemingly impossible challenges offers both hope and inspiration for our own species' future. The remarkable journey that began over 160 million years ago continues today and will likely continue for millions of years to come. Each new generation of snakes carries with it the accumulated wisdom of countless previous generations, encoded in DNA that has been tested and refined by natural selection across deep time. From the tiniest thread snakes that are barely thicker than a pencil led to the massive pythons that can overpower prey larger than themselves, from the lightning-fast vipers with their deadly precision to the patient constrictors with their methodical hunting strategies, snakes represent one of evolution's greatest success stories. Their legacy continues to unfold in research laboratories and field stations around the world, where scientists work to understand the mechanisms behind their remarkable success. Each new discovery adds another piece to our understanding of how life adapts and thrives in an ever-changing world, providing insights that extend far beyond the study of snakes themselves. The insane evolution of snakes is a testament to the incredible creativity and resilience of life itself. It demonstrates that given sufficient time and opportunity, evolution can produce solutions to almost any challenge, creating forms of life that are both beautiful and perfectly adapted to their specific environments. As this extraordinary evolutionary journey continues into an uncertain future, one thing remains clear. Snakes will continue to surprise us, continue to adapt, and continue to demonstrate that life finds a way to not just survive, but to thrive in the face of seemingly impossible odds. The next time you encounter a snake, whether it's slithering through your backyard or coiled up in a nature documentary, remember that you're witnessing the culmination of one of the most incredible transformation stories in the history of our planet. That sleek, limbless predator represents over 160 million years of evolutionary refinement, survival against impossible odds, and adaptation to challenges that would have destroyed lesser creatures. But here's what makes this story even more mind-blowing. We're still discovering new chapters in the snake evolution saga. Just when scientists think they understand how these remarkable creatures work, nature throws them another curveball that completely changes everything we thought we knew. Take the recent discovery of flying snakes in Southeast Asia. Now, before you start having nightmares about venomous serpents dropping out of the sky, let me explain what's actually happening here. These aren't true flyers like birds or bats, but they've developed something that might be even more impressive: the ability to turn their entire body into a biological glider. When a paradise tree snake launches itself from a branch high in the rainforest canopy, it performs one of the most incredible aerial maneuvers in the animal kingdom. First, it flattens its body into a ribbon-like shape that creates lift, essentially turning itself into a living wing. Then it begins undulating through the air in precisely controlled waves that allow it to steer and control its descent with remarkable accuracy. The physics of this gliding behavior are absolutely fascinating. These snakes can travel horizontally for distances that exceed the height from which they launched, meaning they're not just falling with style, they're actually achieving powered flight without wings, feathers, or any of the traditional structures we associate with aerial locomotion. But flight is just the latest chapter in the ongoing story of snake innovation. In laboratories around the world, researchers are uncovering adaptations that seem to defy the laws of physics and challenge everything we thought we knew about what's possible in vertebrate evolution. Consider the recent breakthroughs in understanding how snakes navigate in complete darkness. We've known for decades that pit vipers can detect thermal radiation, but new research is revealing that their heat-sensing abilities are far more sophisticated than anyone imagined. These biological thermal imaging systems can detect temperature differences as small as 0.003 of a degree Celsius, which is more sensitive than most military-grade infrared equipment. But here's where it gets really crazy. Some species can actually create thermal maps of their environment in real time, building three-dimensional heat pictures that allow them to track multiple warm-blooded targets simultaneously. It's like having biological radar that operates on heat signatures instead of radio waves. The computational power required for this kind of sensory processing is staggering. A hunting rattlesnake is essentially running complex thermal analysis software in its brain, calculating trajectories, predicting prey movement, and coordinating lightning-fast strikes based on infrared data that's being updated hundreds of times per second. Meanwhile, other researchers are discovering that the chemical sensing abilities of snakes are even more remarkable than previously thought. When you see a snake flicking its forked tongue, you're watching one of the most sophisticated analytical laboratories in the natural world at work. Recent studies have shown that snakes can detect and analyze chemical traces that are weeks old, following scent trails with the persistence of bloodhounds, but with far greater precision. They can determine not just what animals have passed through an area, but when they were there, what direction they were traveling, their health status, stress levels, and even what they had been eating. Some species have taken this chemical detection to such extremes that they can track individual animals across vast distances, following molecular breadcrumbs that are invisible to every other creature on Earth. It's like being able to read detailed stories written in molecules, with each chemical signature providing another chapter in the ongoing narrative of their environment. The precision of this chemical navigation system is so impressive that engineers are studying snake tongues to develop new technologies for everything from drug detection to medical diagnostics. The idea that millions of years of snake evolution might hold the key to advancing human technology is both humbling and incredibly exciting. But chemical detection is just one piece of the sensory puzzle that modern snakes have mastered. Recent discoveries about their ability to detect vibrations through solid ground have revealed another layer of their remarkable perceptual abilities. Ground-dwelling snakes can feel the footsteps of approaching prey or predators through vibrations transmitted through soil and rock. But they're not just sensing random tremors. They're actually analyzing these vibrations to determine the size, speed, and direction of whatever is creating them. It's like having seismic monitoring equipment built right into their bodies. Some species have become so sensitive to ground vibrations that they can detect the movement of earthworms tunneling through soil several feet away. They're essentially hunting by feel, using the earth itself as a giant sensory organ that transmits information about everything moving on or beneath the surface. The integration of all these different sensory systems creates a perceptual experience that's almost impossible for humans to imagine. A snake hunting in the darkness of a forest floor is simultaneously processing thermal data, chemical information, vibration patterns, and traditional visual cues, all in real time, to create a complete picture of its environment. This multimodal sensory integration allows snakes to hunt with incredible efficiency in conditions where other predators would be completely helpless. They've essentially evolved into biological sensor arrays that can operate effectively in any environment, day or night, above ground or below, in water or on land. As impressive as these sensory capabilities are, they're just one aspect of the ongoing evolutionary innovations that continue to surprise researchers. The mechanical properties of snake locomotion are proving to be equally remarkable, with implications that extend far beyond biology. Recent studies of snake movement have revealed that different species use completely different mechanical principles to generate forward motion. Some rely on friction-based propulsion. Others use muscular waves that create pressure differentials, and still others employ techniques that seem to violate basic physics. Until you understand the sophisticated mechanics involved, desert-dwelling snakes have perfected a form of locomotion called sidewinding that allows them to move efficiently across loose sand without losing traction. But high-speed photography has revealed that this isn't just random wiggling. It's a precisely coordinated sequence of movements that creates multiple contact points with the ground, while minimizing the time any part of the snake's body spends in contact with the hot sand. The efficiency of sidewinding locomotion is so impressive that robotics engineers are incorporating these principles into the design of search and rescue robots. Machines based on snake locomotion can navigate through tight spaces, over rough terrain, and around obstacles that would stop conventional wheeled or tracked vehicles. But terrestrial locomotion is just one application of snake mechanical principles. Aquatic species have developed swimming techniques that are inspiring new approaches to underwater vehicle design. Sea snakes can accelerate, decelerate, and change direction with incredible precision, all while maintaining the streamlined efficiency that allows them to hunt successfully in three-dimensional aquatic environments. The biomechanical principles underlying snake movement are so sophisticated that they're being studied by researchers developing everything from surgical instruments to space exploration equipment. The idea that snake locomotion might help humans explore other planets is a perfect example of how evolutionary innovations continue to inspire technological breakthroughs. Speaking of space exploration, some of the most exciting recent discoveries about snake evolution are coming from research that's quite literally out of this world. Scientists studying how organisms might survive in extreme environments are looking to snakes as models for biological resilience. The ability of some snake species to survive in conditions of extreme temperature, pressure, and chemical composition makes them ideal subjects for astrobiology research. Understanding how these creatures maintain biological function under impossible conditions could provide insights into how life might exist on other planets. Some desert snakes, for example, can survive body temperatures that would be lethal to most other vertebrates. They've evolved cellular mechanisms that protect their proteins and DNA from heat damage, essentially developing biological antifreeze systems that work in reverse. Other species can survive months without water, extracting every possible molecule of moisture from their prey and recycling it with incredible efficiency. Their kidneys have evolved into biological water recovery systems that operate at near-perfect efficiency, wasting virtually nothing. These extreme survival capabilities aren't just academic curiosities. They're providing practical insights for human medicine and technology. Understanding how snakes protect their cellular machinery from extreme conditions is contributing to research on everything from organ preservation to spacecraft design. But perhaps the most exciting frontier in snake evolution research involves their remarkable regenerative abilities. While snakes can't regrow lost limbs like some lizards, they possess other regenerative capabilities that are attracting intense scientific interest. Some species can completely regenerate damaged organs, rebuild sections of their spinal cord, and even recover from injuries that would be permanently disabling for other vertebrates. The molecular mechanisms underlying these regenerative processes are being studied as potential treatments for human spinal cord injuries and organ damage. The venom research field continues to be a gold mine of medical discoveries. Scientists have identified snake venom compounds that show promise as treatments for everything from heart disease to cancer. Some toxins that evolved to kill prey are proving to be incredibly effective at targeting specific disease processes in humans. One of the most promising areas involves venom compounds that can selectively destroy cancer cells while leaving healthy tissue untouched. These biological smart bombs represent a completely new approach to cancer treatment, one that was developed through millions of years of evolutionary experimentation. Other venom research is focusing on pain management applications. Some snake toxins can block specific pain receptors with incredible precision, offering the possibility of developing painkillers that don't have the side effects associated with traditional medications. The pharmaceutical potential of snake venoms is so vast that researchers estimate we've barely scratched the surface of possible medical applications. With nearly 4,000 snake species, each producing its own unique cocktail of biologically active compounds, we're looking at a library of potential medicines that could revolutionize human health care. But the medical applications of snake research extend beyond just venom compounds. The unique properties of snakeskin are inspiring new approaches to developing artificial skin for burn victims and surgical applications. Snake scales provide protection while maintaining flexibility, a combination that's extremely difficult to achieve with synthetic materials. Researchers are studying the hierarchical structure of snake scales to develop new types of body armor, protective clothing, and even architectural materials. The way snake scales overlap and interact to provide both protection and mobility is inspiring designs for everything from spacecraft heat shields to athletic equipment. Even the way snakes shed their skin is providing insights for material science. The process of ecdysis, or skin shedding, involves the precise separation of multiple tissue layers without damage to underlying structures. Understanding this process could lead to new techniques for removing damaged tissue in medical procedures or developing self-repairing materials. The intersection of snake biology and human technology is creating opportunities that seem straight out of science fiction. Bio-inspired robots that move like snakes, medical treatments derived from venom, materials that mimic the properties of snakeskin. These aren't futuristic fantasies. They're active areas of research that are already producing practical applications. As our understanding of snake evolution continues to deepen, we're also gaining new insights into the broader patterns that govern all life on Earth. Snakes represent one of evolution's greatest success stories, and understanding the principles behind their success could help us predict how other species might respond to future environmental challenges. The adaptability that has allowed snakes to survive for over 160 million years offers valuable lessons for conservation biology. By studying which characteristics make some species more resilient than others, researchers can develop better strategies for protecting biodiversity in a rapidly changing world. Climate change, in particular, is creating conditions that will test the adaptive limits of many species. Understanding how snakes have successfully navigated previous periods of environmental change could provide crucial insights for helping other organisms survive the challenges ahead. The ongoing discovery of new snake species, particularly in tropical regions, is also revealing new aspects of evolutionary biology that we never suspected. Many of these newly discovered species have evolved incredibly specialized adaptations for their specific environments, demonstrating that evolution continues to find new solutions to survival challenges. Some recent discoveries have challenged fundamental assumptions about snake biology. Species that were thought to be impossible based on traditional understanding of snake physiology are turning out to be not just possible, but thriving in their natural environments. The pace of discovery suggests that we're still far from understanding the full extent of snake diversity. Remote sensing technologies, environmental DNA sampling, and citizen science projects are revealing snake populations in places where they were never suspected to exist. Each new species discovery adds another piece to the puzzle of snake evolution, often revealing new branches of the evolutionary tree that require scientists to revise their understanding of how these remarkable creatures are related to each other. Modern genetic techniques are also revealing that many species we thought we understood well are actually complexes of closely related but distinct populations. This cryptic diversity means that the true number of snake species on Earth is probably much higher than current estimates suggest. The implications of this hidden diversity extend beyond just updating species lists. Each distinct population represents a unique evolutionary experiment with its own genetic adaptations and ecological specializations. Understanding this diversity is crucial for developing effective conservation strategies as human activities continue to alter natural environments around the world. Some snake populations are responding with rapid evolutionary changes that are happening within human timescales. These contemporary evolution examples provide unprecedented opportunities to observe natural selection in action. Urban snake populations, in particular, are developing city-specific adaptations at rates that would have been considered impossible just a few decades ago. Some species are showing measurable changes in behavior, physiology, and even morphology within just a few generations of urban colonization. These rapid evolutionary responses demonstrate that natural selection can work much faster than traditionally thought when selective pressures are strong enough. The speed of these changes is providing new insights into the fundamental mechanisms of evolutionary adaptation. The study of urban adapted snakes is also revealing new aspects of behavioral flexibility that weren't apparent in wild populations. City-dwelling snakes are learning to exploit human infrastructure, modify their activity patterns to avoid human contact, and even adjust their diets based on the prey species available in urban environments. Some urban snake populations have developed sophisticated strategies for navigating the complex landscape of human-dominated environments. They've learned to use storm drain systems as highway networks, exploit the heat generated by buildings for thermal regulation, and time their activities to coincide with periods of minimal human activity. The success of these urban colonizers offers hope for snake conservation in a world where natural habitats are increasingly fragmented and modified. Species that can adapt to human-dominated landscapes have a much better chance of long-term survival than those that require pristine natural environments. However, not all snake species are proving equally capable of adapting to human presence. Specialists with narrow habitat requirements or specific prey preferences are struggling to cope with rapid environmental changes, highlighting the importance of protecting natural habitats for species that cannot adapt to human-modified landscapes. The conservation implications of these different adaptive responses are profound. Understanding which characteristics make some species more adaptable than others is crucial for developing effective protection strategies and predicting which species are most at risk from future environmental changes. International cooperation in snake research and conservation is becoming increasingly important as we recognize that these remarkable creatures represent a global heritage that transcends national boundaries. Migration patterns, genetic exchange between populations, and the international wildlife trade all require coordinated responses that cross political borders. The illegal trade in rare snake species poses a significant threat to many populations, particularly those with limited distributions or specialized habitat requirements. Enforcement efforts are being supported by genetic techniques that can identify the geographic origin of confiscated specimens, helping to track trafficking networks and protect vulnerable populations. Conservation success stories are emerging from around the world as researchers and conservationists work together to protect snake habitats and populations. Habitat restoration projects, captive breeding programs, and community education initiatives are all contributing to the protection of snake diversity. Public education about snakes remains one of the most important aspects of conservation efforts. Despite their ecological importance and remarkable evolutionary innovations, snakes continue to face persecution based on fear and misunderstanding. Changing public attitudes requires ongoing education about the crucial roles that snakes play in ecosystem health. The ecological services provided by snakes are enormous and often underappreciated. As predators of rodents and other small animals, snakes help control populations of species that can become agricultural pests or disease vectors. In many ecosystems, snakes are keystone species whose presence or absence dramatically affects the entire ecological community. Recent studies have quantified the economic value of the pest control services provided by snake populations, revealing that these ecological benefits far exceed any costs associated with human-snake conflicts. In agricultural regions, snake populations save farmers millions of dollars annually by controlling rodent damage to crops. The medical and technological applications of snake research are also contributing to the economic case for snake conservation. The pharmaceutical potential of snake venoms alone represents billions of dollars in potential medical treatments, while bio-inspired technologies based on snake locomotion and sensory systems are creating new industries. As we look toward the future, the story of snake evolution continues to unfold in ways that surprise and inspire researchers around the world. New technologies are revealing previously hidden aspects of snake biology, while ongoing environmental changes are creating new evolutionary pressures that will shape the next chapter of their remarkable journey. The intersection of traditional field biology with cutting-edge technology is opening up research possibilities that were unimaginable just a few years ago. Satellite tracking, environmental DNA analysis, and advanced imaging techniques are providing unprecedented insights into snake ecology and behavior. Artificial intelligence and machine learning are also contributing to snake research, helping scientists analyze vast data sets of snake observations, genetic information, and environmental data to identify patterns and relationships that would be impossible to detect through traditional methods. The democratization of scientific tools is enabling citizen scientists around the world to contribute to snake research and conservation. Smartphone apps that allow people to report snake sightings are generating massive data sets that help researchers track population trends and range changes in real time. Social media and online platforms are also playing important roles in snake education and conservation. High-quality wildlife photography and videography are helping to change public perceptions of snakes, while online communities are connecting researchers, conservationists, and enthusiasts from around the world. The future of snake research and conservation will depend on continued collaboration between scientists, conservationists, policymakers, and the general public. These remarkable creatures have survived for over 160 million years by adapting to changing conditions, and their continued success will require our active support and protection. As we face an uncertain environmental future, the evolutionary lessons provided by snakes offer both inspiration and practical guidance. Their incredible adaptability, resilience in the face of catastrophic change, and ability to find opportunity in crisis provide a roadmap for how life can persist and thrive even under the most challenging conditions. The story of snake evolution is ultimately a story about the incredible creativity and resilience of life itself. It demonstrates that given sufficient time and opportunity, evolution can produce solutions to almost any challenge, creating forms of life that are both beautiful and perfectly adapted to their environments. From their humble beginnings as small four-legged lizards living in the shadows of dinosaurs, to their current status as one of the most diverse and successful groups of vertebrates on Earth, snakes have proven that sometimes the most unlikely evolutionary experiments can lead to extraordinary success. Their journey through deep time encompasses asteroid impacts, ice ages, mass extinctions, and dramatic climate changes, yet they have not only survived but flourished, constantly reinventing themselves in response to new challenges and opportunities. The innovations they have developed along the way continue to inspire human technology and medicine, while their ongoing adaptability offers hope for how life might respond to future environmental challenges. And as this incredible evolutionary saga continues into an uncertain future, one thing remains absolutely clear. Snakes will continue to surprise us, continue to adapt, and continue to demonstrate that life finds a way to not just survive, but to thrive against seemingly impossible odds. The next time you encounter one of these remarkable creatures, take a moment to appreciate the incredible journey that brought it to that moment. You're looking at a living testament to the power of evolution, a creature whose ancestors survived cosmic catastrophes and environmental upheavals that destroyed countless other species. That sleek, efficient form represents not just millions of years of evolutionary refinement, but also the ongoing story of life's endless creativity in the face of change. In a world where the pace of environmental transformation seems to accelerate daily, snakes offer a powerful reminder that adaptation is possible, that resilience can be developed, and that evolution never stops writing new chapters in the grand story of life on Earth. The insane evolution of snakes becomes even more fascinating when we dive into the current chapter being written right now. As climate patterns shift and human influence spreads across every corner of our planet, these ancient survivors are once again demonstrating the remarkable adaptability that has carried them through 160 million years of Earth's most dramatic changes. What's happening today with snake populations is absolutely mind-blowing. We're witnessing evolutionary changes occurring at speeds that would have been considered impossible just a few decades ago. Some species are adapting to urban environments so rapidly that researchers can measure behavioral and even physical changes within just a handful of generations. Take the rat snakes living in major cities across North America. These urban colonizers have learned to exploit the complex three-dimensional landscape of human settlements in ways that their forest-dwelling ancestors never could have imagined. They're using storm drain networks like superhighways, timing their hunting activities to avoid peak human traffic, and even learning to thermoregulate using the waste heat generated by buildings and vehicles. But here's what makes this really incredible. These behavioral adaptations aren't just random responses to city life. They're sophisticated, coordinated changes that suggest these snakes are essentially learning to read and navigate human environments like a completely new type of ecosystem. Some populations have developed feeding schedules that coincide with garbage collection days, when rodent activity peaks around dumpsters and waste facilities. The speed of these urban adaptations is challenging everything we thought we knew about how quickly evolution can operate. Traditional evolutionary theory suggested that significant behavioral changes required thousands or even millions of years to develop. But urban snake populations are proving that when selective pressures are intense enough, natural selection can produce measurable changes within decades rather than millennia. Meanwhile, climate change is creating an entirely different set of evolutionary challenges that are testing snake adaptability on a global scale. As temperature and precipitation patterns shift across the planet, species are being forced to either adapt rapidly to changing conditions or migrate to more suitable habitats. Northern populations of many snake species are expanding their ranges as warming temperatures make previously unsuitable territories habitable. These range expansions are happening so quickly that researchers can track them in real time using citizen science data and satellite monitoring. It's like watching biogeography change before our eyes. But range expansion is just one response to changing climate conditions. Some populations are showing remarkable physiological adaptations that allow them to survive in environments that would have been lethal to their ancestors. Desert species are developing enhanced water conservation abilities as their habitats become even more arid. Mountain dwellers are adjusting their metabolic rates to cope with changing seasonal patterns. The genetic mechanisms underlying these rapid adaptations are becoming clearer thanks to advances in molecular biology techniques. Researchers can now identify the specific genes responsible for adaptive changes and track how these genetic variations spread through populations over time. What they're discovering is that snake genomes contain far more flexibility than anyone previously imagined. Many species carry what scientists call genetic toolkits that contain dormant capabilities for dealing with environmental challenges. When conditions change, natural selection can activate these genetic resources, allowing populations to rapidly develop new survival strategies. This genetic preparedness helps explain how snakes have managed to survive so many catastrophic events throughout Earth's history. They're not just passively responding to environmental changes, they're carrying evolutionary insurance policies written in their DNA that can be activated when needed. The pharmaceutical industry is taking notice of these genetic discoveries in a big way. Snake venom research has exploded into one of the most promising frontiers in modern medicine, with researchers identifying compounds that could revolutionize treatments for everything from chronic pain to cancer. Here's what makes snake venoms so medically valuable. They're precisely engineered biological weapons that have been refined by millions of years of evolutionary experimentation. Each species has developed its own unique cocktail of toxins designed to target specific physiological systems with incredible accuracy. Some venom compounds can selectively destroy cancer cells while leaving healthy tissue completely untouched. Others can block specific pain receptors with such precision that they could replace traditional painkillers without the side effects that make current medications problematic for long-term use. The diversity of these venom compounds is staggering, with nearly 4,000 snake species, each producing dozens of different toxins. Researchers estimate there could be hundreds of thousands of unique biological compounds waiting to be discovered and developed into medicines. But venom research is just one aspect of how snake evolution is contributing to human technology and medicine. The biomechanical principles underlying snake locomotion are inspiring revolutionary advances in robotics and engineering. Engineers studying snake movement have developed robots that can navigate through tight spaces, over rough terrain, and around obstacles that would stop conventional wheeled or tracked vehicles. These snake-inspired machines are being designed for search and rescue operations, space exploration, and military applications where traditional vehicles can't operate effectively. The efficiency of snake locomotion is so impressive that NASA is incorporating these principles into designs for planetary exploration vehicles. Robots based on snake mechanics could potentially explore cave systems on Mars or navigate the icy terrain of Jupiter's moons in ways that wheeled rovers simply cannot. Meanwhile, material scientists are studying the hierarchical structure of snake scales to develop new types of protective equipment and architectural materials. Snake scales achieve an almost perfect balance between protection and flexibility, a combination that's extremely difficult to replicate with synthetic materials. The overlapping pattern of snake scales distributes impact forces across multiple layers, while maintaining the flexibility needed for movement. This design principle is being incorporated into everything from body armor to spacecraft heat shields, creating materials that are both stronger and more flexible than traditional alternatives. Even the process of skin shedding is providing insights for medical applications. The way snakes periodically replace their entire outer skin layer without damaging underlying tissues could inspire new techniques for treating burn victims or developing self-healing materials. The sensory capabilities of snakes continue to amaze researchers and inspire technological innovations. The thermal detection abilities of pit vipers are more sensitive than most military-grade infrared equipment, capable of detecting temperature differences measured in thousandths of a degree. Understanding how these biological thermal sensors work is leading to the development of new medical diagnostic tools and environmental monitoring systems. Devices based on snake thermal detection could revolutionize everything from early cancer detection to monitoring industrial processes. The chemical sensing abilities of snakes are equally impressive and equally applicable to human technology. When a snake flicks its forked tongue, it's operating one of the most sophisticated analytical laboratories in the natural world, capable of detecting and analyzing molecular traces that are completely invisible to other animals. This chemical detection system is so precise that engineers are studying it to develop new technologies for drug detection, medical diagnostics, and environmental monitoring. Artificial systems based on snake chemical sensing could potentially detect diseases, explosives, or environmental contaminants with unprecedented accuracy. But perhaps the most exciting frontier in snake research involves their remarkable regenerative abilities. While snakes can't regrow lost limbs like some other reptiles, they possess other regenerative capabilities that are attracting intense medical interest. Some species can completely regenerate damaged organs, rebuild sections of their nervous system, and recover from injuries that would be permanently disabling for other vertebrates. Understanding the molecular mechanisms behind these regenerative processes could lead to breakthrough treatments for spinal cord injuries, organ damage, and other conditions that currently have no effective therapies. The cellular machinery that allows snakes to survive in extreme conditions is also providing insights for space medicine and extreme environment applications. Some desert species can survive body temperatures that would be lethal to most other animals, while others can go months without water by recycling every possible molecule of moisture with incredible efficiency. These extreme survival capabilities aren't just biological curiosities. They're providing practical insights for developing life support systems for space exploration, medical treatments for heat stroke and dehydration, and technologies for surviving in harsh environments. The intersection of snake biology with cutting-edge technology is creating research opportunities that seem straight out of science fiction. Bio-inspired robots that move like snakes medical treatments derived from venom compounds, materials that mimic the properties of snake skin, sensors based on snake thermal and chemical detection systems. These aren't futuristic fantasies. They're active areas of research, producing real applications. As our understanding of snake evolution continues to deepen, we're also gaining new insights into the broader principles that govern all life on Earth. Snakes represent one of evolution's most successful experiments, and the lessons learned from studying their adaptability could help us understand how other species might respond to future environmental challenges. The conservation implications of this research are profound. Understanding which characteristics make some species more resilient than others is crucial for developing effective strategies to protect biodiversity in a rapidly changing world. The adaptability that has allowed snakes to survive for over 160 million years offers valuable lessons for conservation biology. International cooperation in snake research is becoming increasingly important as scientists recognize that these remarkable creatures represent a global heritage that transcends national boundaries. Collaborative research projects are revealing migration patterns, genetic connections between distant populations, and the global impacts of environmental change on snake diversity. The illegal wildlife trade poses a significant threat to many snake species, particularly those with limited distributions or highly specialized habitat requirements. Advanced genetic techniques are now being used to identify the geographic origin of confiscated specimens, helping law enforcement agencies track trafficking networks and protect vulnerable populations. Conservation success stories are emerging from around the world as researchers, conservationists, and local communities work together to protect snake habitats and populations. Habitat restoration projects are creating corridors that allow snake populations to move between fragmented habitats, while captive breeding programs are helping to maintain genetic diversity in threatened species. Public education remains one of the most critical aspects of snake conservation. Despite their ecological importance and remarkable evolutionary innovations, snakes continue to face persecution based on fear and misunderstanding. Changing public attitudes requires ongoing education about the crucial roles snakes play in maintaining healthy ecosystems. The ecological services provided by snakes are enormous and often underappreciated. As predators of rodents and other small animals, snake populations help control species that can become serious agricultural pests or disease vectors. In many ecosystems, snakes function as keystone species whose presence or absence dramatically affects the entire ecological community. Recent economic studies have quantified the value of pest control services provided by snake populations, revealing that these ecological benefits far exceed any costs associated with human-snake conflicts. In agricultural regions worldwide, snake populations save farmers billions of dollars annually by controlling rodent damage to crops and stored grain. The medical and technological applications emerging from snake research are also contributing to the economic case for conservation. The pharmaceutical potential of snake venoms alone represents enormous economic value, while bio-inspired technologies based on snake locomotion and sensory systems are creating entirely new industries. As we look toward the future, the story of snake evolution continues to unfold in ways that surprise and inspire researchers around the world. New technologies are revealing previously hidden aspects of snake biology, while ongoing environmental changes are creating evolutionary pressures that will shape the next chapter of their remarkable journey. Advanced imaging techniques are providing unprecedented views of internal snake anatomy and physiology, revealing details about how these creatures function that were impossible to observe just a few years ago. High-speed cameras can capture the mechanics of snake strikes with incredible precision, while medical imaging technologies are showing how internal organs adapt to accommodate massive meals. Genetic sequencing technologies are uncovering the molecular basis of snake adaptations, revealing exactly how DNA changes translate into the physical and behavioral characteristics that make these creatures so successful. The resulting insights are contributing to our understanding of evolution at the most fundamental level. Artificial intelligence and machine learning are also contributing to snake research in unexpected ways. These technologies can analyze vast data sets of snake observations, genetic information, and environmental data to identify patterns and relationships that would be impossible for human researchers to detect through traditional methods. The democratization of scientific tools is enabling people around the world to contribute to snake research and conservation. Smartphone applications allow citizen scientists to report snake sightings, contributing to massive databases that help researchers track population trends and range changes in real time. Social media platforms are playing important roles in snake education and conservation by connecting researchers, conservationists, and enthusiasts from around the globe. High-quality wildlife photography and videography shared through these platforms are helping to change public perceptions of snakes, showcasing their beauty and ecological importance to audiences that might never encounter these creatures in the wild. The future of snake research and conservation will depend on continued collaboration between scientists, conservationists, policymakers, and the general public. These remarkable creatures have demonstrated incredible resilience throughout their evolutionary history, but their continued success in an increasingly human-dominated world will require our active support and protection. Climate change projections suggest that the next century will bring environmental challenges as dramatic as any that snakes have faced in their long evolutionary history. Understanding how they've successfully navigated previous periods of rapid environmental change could provide crucial insights for helping not just snakes, but all species survive the challenges ahead. The principles that have guided snake evolution, adaptability, specialization, and resilience, offer valuable lessons for how life might respond to future environmental uncertainties. Their success story demonstrates that with sufficient flexibility and evolutionary creativity, life can find ways to persist and thrive even under the most challenging conditions. As this incredible evolutionary saga continues into an uncertain future, snakes will undoubtedly continue to surprise us with new adaptations, new survival strategies, and new ways of exploiting opportunities in a changing world. Their track record of evolutionary success suggests they'll find ways to navigate whatever challenges the future might bring. The ongoing discovery of new snake species, particularly in remote tropical regions and previously unexplored habitats, continues to reveal new aspects of their remarkable diversity. Each new species discovery adds another piece to the puzzle of snake evolution, often requiring scientists to revise their understanding of how these creatures are related and how they've adapted to their specific environments. Modern genetic techniques are revealing that the true diversity of snakes is far greater than traditional taxonomy suggested. Many species that were thought to be single, widespread populations are turning out to be complexes of closely related but distinct forms, each adapted to its own specific ecological niche. This cryptic diversity has profound implications for conservation efforts. Each distinct population represents a unique evolutionary experiment with its own genetic adaptations and ecological specializations. Protecting this hidden diversity requires much more detailed understanding of snake populations than was previously thought necessary. The speed at which new discoveries are being made suggests that we're still in the early stages of understanding the full extent of snake diversity and evolutionary innovation. Remote sensing technologies, environmental DNA sampling, and citizen science projects are revealing snake populations in places where they were never suspected to exist. As human activities continue to alter natural environments around the world, some snake populations are responding with evolutionary changes that are happening within human timescales. These contemporary evolution examples provide unprecedented opportunities to observe natural selection in action and understand how species adapt to rapidly changing conditions. Urban snake populations are developing city-specific behaviors and even physical characteristics within just a few generations of colonizing human-dominated landscapes. These rapid adaptations are providing new insights into the fundamental mechanisms of evolutionary change and the factors that promote adaptive flexibility. The study of these real-time evolutionary changes is revolutionizing our understanding of how evolution actually works. Scientists are gaining remarkable opportunities to observe natural selection operating at speeds that allow detailed study of the entire process, from initial genetic variation through population-level changes. The implications of this research extend far beyond academic interest in snake biology. Understanding how organisms adapt to rapidly changing environments could provide crucial insights for managing the biological impact of climate change, urbanization, and other human-induced environmental changes. The remarkable journey of snake evolution that began over 160 million years ago continues today with the same creativity and adaptability that has characterized their entire history. As they face new challenges and exploit new opportunities, snakes continue to demonstrate that evolution is not just a historical process, but an ongoing phenomenon that shapes life in real time, from their humble origins as small four-legged lizards to their current status as one of the most diverse and successful groups of vertebrates on Earth. Snakes have proven that sometimes the most unlikely evolutionary experiments can lead to extraordinary success. Their story encompasses asteroid impacts, ice ages, mass extinctions, and dramatic climate changes, yet they have not only survived, but flourished, constantly reinventing themselves in response to new challenges and opportunities. The innovations they've developed continue to inspire human technology and medicine, while their ongoing adaptability offers insights into how life might respond to future environmental challenges. As this evolutionary masterpiece continues to unfold, one thing remains absolutely certain. Snakes will continue to surprise us, continue to adapt, and continue to demonstrate that life finds remarkable ways to not just survive, but to thrive against seemingly impossible odds.